I hope you've been practicing your knifing, because you ain't going to make it otherwise. I have a game collecting addiction. I'm thousands of dollars in debt. I lost count many years ago, but you know what? I'm getting toward my goal of collecting over 9,000 video games, and today we're doing the $100 NES challenge. And in this particular challenge, basically you have $100 USD to decide what games would go in your NES collection. So I'm doing this as if these were the only games that I could ever have for the NES. So this isn't what I would start my collection off with. This is straight up, these are the only games I could ever play. So you could dump all your money into one game, as long as it's $100 or less, or you could buy several cheaper games. And believe me, this challenge is a lot easier than it sounds. Believe me. You try doing it and you're going to have a tough time. I put a lot of time and effort into this because there's so many games that were very difficult to not have on the list. So I'm going to go through the prices of each. These are in no particular order. Game number 1, Blades of Steel for the NES. This is the greatest hockey game ever made to this day. Not only is it a great hockey game, but it also has the best fights, the best fighting system of any hockey game, and the best overtime system, which becomes a shootout for your overtime. And this game was $7.50. Next game on the list, all-time classic. You have to have an RPG, and you have to have a pretty dang solid RPG. If these are the only games you're ever going to get to play, you're on a desert island, $100, this is all you can ever play. Well, I figure, you know what, Final Fantasy should be on there. Because this will take you a very long time to beat, because the grinding is absolutely ruthless in this game. A lot of grinding, and there's also a couple of cool secrets. You could, if you didn't have a guide, you might spend a long time trying to figure out some of these secrets. Quick little tips and tricks that, you know, you would only find out from friends back in the day or through a guidebook. And this game is worth, let's see here, $21.45. This ain't cheap. This is my original copy. I paid $3.95 back in the day at Cash Converters, which is a pawn shop. Way back in the day, I found this at that pawn shop. It was just hidden on a shelf. They didn't even have any other games. And I picked it up. And by the way, my favorite character was the black belt. Speaking of RPGs, one of the greatest action RPGs of all time, Star Tropics. I remember seeing commercials for this. So when I asked to get this for Christmas or my birthday or whatever, I didn't even know what it was. That's how good the commercials were. I was just a kid. I kept seeing the commercials and I wanted this game bad. I had no idea what it was. And it turned out to be one of the best games on the entire console. So I figured, and you know what, you can get a lot of time, put a lot of time into this one as well. Take you a long time to beat it. I think it's got good replayability, similar to Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy has tons of replayability because you can play with every combination of characters. You only get four characters, but you can make an unlimited amount of combinations essentially, and just keep replaying the game. I mean, you're trapped on a desert island. That's what you're going to end up doing. And heck, people did that back in the day anyway. I did it. You could make a team of 4 white mages. It'll be hard as hell to beat the game, but you can do it. I'm gonna save the best for last. We're gonna go Super C next. Super C, I always called this Super Contra. From day one, I just called it Super Contra, so I just assume the Super C is short for Super Contra. But some people call it Super C, so that's what we're going with. I like this one better than Contra, the OG Contra, because this is what I had growing up, and I felt like this was the better game. My friend had Contra, I had Super C, and I felt like this was far superior. They're both good, but I felt like this was superior. And to this day, I do feel like this is the superior game. This one is going for a whopping $22. Oh yeah, by the way, Super C, that's 2-player. Okay. $100, that's all you have. You're going to want some classic 2-player co-op games. Because 2-player co-op games, you could play this 1,000 times and you'll never get bored. As long as you're playing 2-player. And 1-player, you could play it about 100 times. 1-player, maybe more. All right. Speaking of 2-player, Double Dragon 2. This is probably my favorite Double Dragon game. Even better than Double Dragon Neon and Super Double Dragon for the Super Nintendo. This is my all-time favorite. Tough as nails game. I'll be honest, I never beat it. But I had a hell of a time trying to beat it. And I played this probably 1,000 times or more. 2-player co-op. All the way 2-player co-op. Speaking of 2-player co-op, yet again, Super Mario 3 is a great 1-player game or 2-player game. And by the way, Double Dragon 2 is $12.50. These prices all come from price charting as of the day that I made that list. Super Mario Bros. 3, all-time classic, arguably the best Super Mario Bros. Game ever made. Some people would counter-argue that Super Mario World, the first one, the OG for the Super Nintendo, is the best Mario Brothers. And it's a hell of a matchup. But I think for me personally, this one is the better choice. I just had a hell of a time playing it. You could play it 1,000,000 times over, you never get bored. 2-player, single player, doesn't matter. You'll never get bored. Last game, 2-player co-op yet again. You know I love my co-ops. You know I love them. Hidden Gem, one of the best games ever made, Russian Attack. This game, you need the reflexes of a real-life ninja to beat this game. And it can be done. If you saw how far, I didn't even beat the game, but I got, like, if I could rewind time and record some of the footage that I made playing this game, I don't even know how I got to where I did. I had cat-like reflexes back in the day. Like, I just remember dodging landmines, 100 troops coming at you at the same time, and 100 bullets coming at you from the same time. There's like 100 towers. Picture the whole map is just guys in towers shooting you. And then there's landmines all over the ground. And then there's guys coming from both sides chasing you and trying to kill you. Like Super Contra. It's a running gun. But you don't always have a gun. You generally have a knife. So you got to get close combat. This is like Super Contra or Contra. But very similar. But a lot more cat-like reflexes and dodging skills are required because you're not shooting a gun. Most of the time you're knifing guys down. This is up close and personal. You got to knife them. Straight up hand-to-hand combat. And it's 2-player co-op. And here's the funny part. Okay, this game is also, you could ruin friendships playing this game. You might end up killing each other if you're on a desert island. Because I got into like some fist fights just about playing this game. Me and a buddy, yeah. Oh yeah, you get into fist fights. Because here's the thing. You're both on this one screen. And if I go too far ahead and you get too far behind, I can keep moving and you have to keep moving. You cannot stop moving. You cannot say, hey, slow down or I'm going to stop moving. No, you can't do that. Because guys are coming from behind at all times coming to kill you. And you cannot fight them unless you're turned that way and you're knifing them down. So you can't even move this way because you're busy knifing the guys. And if you take one step, another guy might come and kill you. But I'm not slowing down. I'm way over here. You better catch up, buddy. I don't care if you die. You better hurry your butt up. I hope you got great knifing skills. I hope you've been practicing your knifing because you ain't going to make it otherwise. You're not going to make it. I'm here to beat the level. I got five lives left. I don't care how many lives you got. Heck, you're slowing me down. Why would I slow down for you? I'm here to beat the game. You're not helping me beat the game. You're at the back of the pack. You're slowing me down. You get into some real fist fights, and then eventually you'll make peace and say, okay, slow down. Let's start over again. Nobody jump ahead of anybody. Slow down. We'll go through this together. Co-op. But then that guy, whoever you screwed over the previous game, he was just pulling a fast one, and it turns out he's lying because he's going to get his revenge now. Second he gets an opportunity, he goes to the far end of the screen. Now you're behind, and he's the one laughing. He's the one calling you out for slowing him down. So yeah, it's a great friggin' game. Now what did I pay for that? Let's check. Okay, so Russian Attack is only $11, and Mario Brothers 3 is $15.50. Combine all of them together, $99.95. I'm 5 cents. I got 5 cents left. Just under $100, and that's the list. That's the whole list, and that's a tough as hell list to name because I'm going to name a couple of runner-ups that almost made the list but didn't quite make it. Okay. These games I wish could make it on the list, but it was just impossible. I've only got $100. It's very difficult to make a list like this. You could spend 10 years trying to make this list, trying to perfect it and get it exact. Super V-Spike Volleyball. Super Spike V-Ball. I played the hell out of this back in the day. Best volleyball game ever made. Little Nemo Dream Master. This was a real shame. I wanted this on the list so bad. So bad. But you know, if I only have $100, I think I would get more replayability out of these other games that I did choose. And so this one had to be cut as well. Whoop. Crystalis, one of the best action RPGs ever made, but again, Final Fantasy and Star Tropics, and also price. You have to consider price as well. Sure, I could list better games than what I've chosen, but you got to consider the price. Maybe you only get 2 good games, $50 a piece. Well, look at how many games I got. I got 7 games here. 2, 4, 6, 3, 6, 7 games. So this one didn't quite make the list. Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Wish this could make the list. Great 2-player co-op game. But again, I just felt like the replayability was better elsewhere. Battletoads could have made the list. But considering price, again, you have to consider price. Battletoads has great 2-player co-op and replayability. Tiny Toons, I really wanted this one on the list. It's only single player, but I think there's a lot of replayability. Now, this one almost made the list because this is a very cheap game. Ultima Exodus, or Exodus Ultima. This one is a great game because it's hard as hell, and again, you could make 100 different, way more combinations than Final Fantasy. And if I were to make this list again, maybe this would somehow make it on the list because of the replayability and the hundreds and hundreds of combinations that you could make with the characters. You could sink 1,000 hours into this game if you really wanted to. So, you know, the more I think about it, maybe I should have put it on the list, but the list is done. I thought about it already. And the final 2 games that didn't quite make the list, Smash TV, great 2-player co-op game, but as a single-player game, not really. Come on, let's be honest, and that's why I didn't make the cut. Robin Hood, I sunk a lot of hours into this. It's based on the movie with Kevin Costner. Great game, very underrated. Some people say it sucks. But stop listening to what other people say. Because you got to try it for yourself. You might find that you enjoy it. And you might see what other people don't see. That's what I see in this game right here. Great friggin' game. But it doesn't have the replayability that some of these other games have. It's fairly cheap too. Check it out today. Guys, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy this type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. because I am trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers, and I'm trying to get to over 9,000 games for my collection.